Good morning. Thought y'all might like a little glimpse of our chickens and our famous rooster Ron. His name is actually Ron Jeremy. For those of you that know, yes, it's hilarious. For those of you that don't, you may not want to look it up, but he's an adult film star. I'll just say that. We named him that. It was Joey's idea. We named him that because it's one rooster with like 20 something girls, right? So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take you guys on a quick little tour of the garden and our little gnome that's pointing the way to the garden. So let's go. So the idea eventually is that this entire area here, from that fence there all the way back there to that fence there, and all the way back past these little bit of trees to that fence back there, will be food. It's a lot. And this is just the beginning. So, you come in, right away, you see the first garden plot that I plowed up is, or tilled up, is right here. And so what you see growing in here right now is sorghum sundegrass, which I laid down as a cover crop, but the birds just ate up all the seeds from back here and in between, and I probably didn't do the best job of spreading the seed out, but even probably half the seed that I put out has come up because the birds ate it all. Every time I come out here, there's 2-3 birds flying away because I scared them off. I need to do a scarecrow like Grandma used to do. And then this plot here, nothing has been planted in it yet. I've just tilled it up. There's some grass and weeds and stuff coming in out of it, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted to till it up and then let the weeds germinate so that I can pull them out. Probably just go over it with the wheelie plow and pull them up by the roots. And then if they just lay on the top here, the sun will bake them and cook them. So this is just another empty plot at the moment. And then when we come over here, this is where the asparagus and strawberries are currently growing. You can walk through here. I do need to get out in here and get some of these weeds out of here. You can see there's definitely grass and weeds coming up, which is not where I want them to be. There's the asparagus. There's a little strawberry plant that I planted from roots. I won't get any strawberries or asparagus this year, but these are perennial plants, so they'll come back. Basically, just first year, you just let the asparagus grow up like that, and then it'll die off. See, here's a little asparagus spear right here. That might look familiar to some of you. It's very skinny because it's year one. Pull that one little weed out. This is what I try to spend 20-30 minutes every morning in here. This stuff should have already been planted. I'm late, but I'm about to get this stuff in the ground now. Here's some better looking asparagus spears right here. We're not going to eat them this year, but they're doing okay. Most of the plants are pretty healthy. This is my drip tape that I got from Haas Tools. And so I didn't get the drip tape until after the asparagus and strawberries were already planted. So this first 3 rows of drip tape are above the ground. But as we move down to the cucumbers, you can see this drip tape is buried, and so running underneath all these cucumber plants down this row. This is my little trellis that they're going to grow on. I have 2 more hog panels. This is a cattle panel, but I got 2 hog panels that I'm going to add to the end of this row and then the beginning of this row. So the cucumbers, you see the little I call them spindles starting to come off the plant, so they're going to be looking for something to grab onto. So that means we got to get that trellis up here pretty quickly. And then over here, these are the pumpkin plants, and most of them came up. I've got this one little dead spot over here where I didn't really, I guess, get enough compost into the ground or whatever, because this plant and this plant and this plant, these are all doing really well, and then this guy is just a little baby. And we accidentally pulled up some of this drip tape at the beginning of the row here, but that's okay. Anyway, so these are small sugar pumpkins, so they're going to be tiny little pumpkins, but plenty enough for me to get some meat from and make some pumpkin pie. And then yesterday I had TJ out here. I worked him like a mule, had him out here digging my furrows to lay my tape down, and then we're going to empty these bags of compost on top of that. And I'm about to plant this corn and squash. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of corn. So to here will be corn, but I'm not going to go all the way. This is a 30-foot row. I'm not going to go all the way down the row. I'm going to do 5 rows of 10 feet. That way they can likely fertilize a little easier than if I did like 3 full rows or 2.5 rows of 30 feet. And then down here will be squash. Squash along this one row, and then squash along at the other end of each of the rows of corn. So that's what the garden looks like today. See these gnats flying? I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there are all kinds of little gnats flying around. I'll tell you what, I love this drip tape though. I turn it on, leave it on a couple hours. It does a really good job of watering the soil without getting water all over the plants, the leaves and such. Because, you know, especially here in really humid, hot areas like Florida, that water on the leaves, first of all, the sun, if you water in the heat of the day, the sun will hit that water that's sitting on the leaf, and it's like putting a magnifying glass on the leaves. It could potentially burn the leaves, but that's not the worst of it. If you water, especially if you do it in the evening time or in not first thing in the morning, the water will sit on the leaves. You could start getting some funguses and other nasty things that can grow on your plants and kill them. So it's a little better for the plant if you water from underground, which is what the drip tape is for. So anyway, there's my garden, y'all. It's not much at the moment. We ripped out the springtime garden that y'all saw was a whole mess because of all the weeds that I allowed to grow up in there. So I learned my lesson. I just try to come out here a little bit every morning to keep the weeds in check, and today to plant new seeds. So that's an 8-minute video. I didn't know I was going to talk that long. There's my little free shed that I got. It holds all my gardening tools. Chickens are on the other side of that. And then eventually I'm going to have a couple more plots tilled in here. I have to be careful with the tiller though, because I do have these trees in this area. There's a little pine tree. There's an oak tree there. Another oak tree. You know, I just got lots of trees in here, which is fine. I like that because it helps provide just a little bit of shade for the garden, which most people that garden would think you don't really want the shade, because a lot of vegetables and things need full sun, and that is true, except that here in Florida, full sun is like being on the sun. You know, back home in Delaware, full sun means full sun. You don't really want to shade it at all. But down here in Florida, even for the full sun plants, you do want to try to provide them a little bit of shade, because the sun is just a bit too intense. And some people actually will take a shade cloth and cover their, especially if they're doing like raised beds, they'll use a shade cloth to like filter so it gets like 60% or 70% or even 40% of the full sun. And that helps keep the plants from burning up. So anyway, I'm about to go ahead and plant these corn and squash seeds. And I thought y'all just might like to see what's happening in the food area. So y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.